Psychiatric nurses across the country are expressing worry about the poor state of their working conditions, now particularly the dangers that they find themselves in the line of work. Now, in some of the hospitals, they don't have adequate facilities to work with. They also don't have the adequate provision being made for a daily administration of psychiatric treatment for the various or the hundreds of patients that are in their care. More importantly is the risk that they find themselves engulfed in as a result of the non-level of insurance, as well as the poor working conditions that they find themselves when they have to work with the psychiatric patients daily. Well, we're here to discuss that, to also look at how we get to have them have a lot of dialogue with the authorities concerned. Fred Asaridonko is an executive member of the Psychiatric Nurses Group, and he's in the studio. Thanks for joining me, Fred.
You're welcome.
He's somebody I know very well, so I know him very well. Fred, how are you? But particularly for me, I know the dangers that you work with, but can you just enumerate them to us?
Like we've been saying all this while, psychiatric nursing is a special setting, and even when the very basic medications are available, day in, day out, you meet one or two aggressions. But here we are now, the very medications to calm these people down are not there. And for that matter, maybe when the medications were available, once in a while you could get about a patient or two relapsing or maybe getting aggressive. But as at now, the medications aren't there. So maybe a ward of about, say, 35 or even 40 patients, you could get as many as 10 or maybe 15 getting aggressive at the same time. And when it happens like that, the only option you have now is to run to the nursing station and then place your call to a different ward to call for reinforcement, which shouldn't be the case.
But usually, how many patients will be in a ward?
For my ward like this, we have about, for now, we have about 35.
And you, the nurses, are how many?
For now, we have about 400 or so nurses. And we run three different shifts.
Let's say per particular ward.
For a ward per time, it varies. Because some of the wards, the number of patients in there are not that much. So the number of nurses there wouldn't be that much. For a ward like special ward, you have about 150 patients. So such a place, you know, you should have a lot of nurses there. So the nurse ratio varies depending on the wards that you are in. And this issue we are talking about happens in all the wards. Just somewhere last week, a colleague who had had 2 previous years was hit in the abdomen, and she was bleeding.
She had a rupture.
Very well. All because the very medication that we would use to calm these patients are not available. We have other staff who have been through similar instances. A colleague of ours was pregnant then. She was pushed and she has to be rushed to the theater in her uniform. And she's got other complications from that. As I sit here and talk with you, see my lip, at least you know me.
Yes,
the lip was not like this.
No, it was not.
In the line of duty, I have to receive this. A heavy blow, I nearly lost a tooth. And in all of this, as I speak with you, I go to 37 eye department to take off my eye. And everybody who has had one attack or the other would go to the hospital and bear the cost by himself or herself. There are instances you have to dip your hand in your own pocket to buy food or buy medication for a patient. Because in the moment you realize, oh, this patient is hungry, and for that matter, becoming aggressive. So if you get this patient food, you have peace of mind to take care of the others. Why wouldn't you do it and have your peace of mind? There are other elderly patients in the wards that are on antihypertensive medications. They are all running out, and we know the complications of that, strokes and what have you. And sometimes you don't want them to get into that state. And for that matter, you still dip your hand in your pocket, go buy medications for them.
Because you love your job and you care for patients.
With mental health, the perception out there is that when you go and smoke, when you go and drink, that is the only time you'll be brought there. But it's never so. It's just an iota of the causes.
Well, true. I know that.
Sure. So you can break down today, I can break down today. Somebody has to be there to take care of them. It's very unfortunate we are where we are today. And a colleague in the line of duty lost an eye. It took almost about 6 years or so. Even the workman compensation, the person even didn't receive it before the person passed on. So where we've gotten to now, all we are saying is, life is precious. We have families to take care of. And the working environment has become so dangerous now. Even our condition of service states that if a nurse in the line of duty, you realize you are encountering danger from the workplace, report to your immediate supervisor and run away. And this issue is not just today. It's been persisting virtually every year. And each time we run short of this medication, that is when the attacks become so rampant, some of us get injured. So in the line of duty, virtually almost every year, I get an attack. Seriously. And it's happening all over.
Now, particularly for those of us very much familiar with psychiatry, we also know that for many of the times, it's not as if you don't report the issues, but you report the issues to your administrators.
With this current issue, we've been writing meeting management, even meeting with the mental health authority and all that. But each time we meet, all we hear is that we are meeting with the Ministry of Health and they are doing their best to get us. Just last Thursday, we met with the mental health board. And they said they've pushed things through, and I think things have gotten to the finance ministry where now they are hoping and praying that something good would come out of it. But as to when it is coming, we do not know. And we can't compromise with our lives.
The crucial issue is that now you have an advocacy group, the Psychiatric Nurses Group.
Sure.
And so you're doing what? You're leading this very charge?
This Psychiatric Nurses Group are a group of nurses working in the various psychiatric hospitals. So we are more or less championing this. And at the end of the day, we are in this very same thing we are talking about. So we are more or less advocating for ourselves and for our own welfare and that of the patient. Because the situation we find ourselves in, the patients are not aggressive only towards us, the staff, but as well the other patient. Because when they relapse, that is when they start hearing voices and seeing things. And most of the time, the voices they hear are commanding voices from superior or higher authority. So when a higher authority tells you to do something, all you have to do is to obey.
I mean, literally.
And carry it out. So that is what happens. So in as much as they are a danger to us, they are a danger to themselves and other patients as well. Because they can start committing suicides and what have you. So we are really in difficult times. We don't wish to get to where we are today, but it's very unfortunate.
How soon do you need the help? And if you don't get the help within the period that you're advocating, what would you do?
Roland, at least you know a bit about the psychiatric settings.
I know a lot.
Sure. The very things we need to take care of the patients are not there. So how do we take care of them? It's just like a farmer going to the farm without a cutlass or a hoe. What can you do? The best you can do is hand picking for just a short while. And that's what we've been doing all this while. Now we are tired of the hand picking. We need the things to work.
What would you do?
There's nothing we can do than to stay away from the danger zone.
Which is what?
Which is stay away from the hospital.
Yeah.
Stay away from the hospital premises. Because when you enter the ward now,
so
you are entering at your own peril.
If your calls are not heeded to, what would you do? Would you strike or would you decide to abstain from work? What would you do, Fred?
I will not go to the workplace. Because when I go and I get hit.
Or you go there, you'll be lurking around.
I won't even get there.
But if you don't get, the government will not pay you.
The very place I'm supposed to work. Let me just read something from the condition of service. Just a minute.
Yes, please. I'll give you all the time.
Sure.
And we also know that we have psychiatric hospitals in Ankafo. There's one in Accra. There's one in Pantine. Are those the three main hospitals as you look for a thing? Right?
Yeah. They are the three main hospitals.
Okay.
Even the labor law says that
the
employer should provide the materials, the machinery, and the equipment and tools needed to work. And two, they should make the working environment safe.
Well, they provide you the tools and materials.
They are not there.
No, but you're saying that they are inadequate. There's a difference between they are not there and they are inadequate.
Roland, as we speak, the last time we checked out about 2 weeks ago, the medication left at the pharmacy was just 8%. And as I speak with you now, we have about 400 inmates, almost 500, in the hospital. And the 8% medication left is taking care of the about 500 in the hospital and over 1,000 outside.
That means those who visit the OPD.
OPD, good, because the care of the mentally ill is supposed to be free. So the 8% is.
So now care is free, has always been free.
Sure, and the 8% is going to take care of the 500 in and over 1,000 out, and even the 8% left is not the very key ones we need. It's just a fraction of the few ones left. So the very ones we need are not even there. And aside all this, the patients do come in, they are aggressive, you need to inject them and all that. We need cotton, we need gloves, spirit to even clean the site before. All these things are not there. Sometimes you have to even give IV injection with your bare hand.
Well, I know. I remember one of your juniors called Achu. Had a bad experience. You know Achu?
From
Pantan. It's called Achu. It was one of your juniors and had a very bad experience. So and I met him. He was complaining bitterly.
And in all of this,
with
should
one
you
of the patients who relapsed.
And in the line of duty, doing this with your bare hand because you are trying to save a situation, and you acquire any form of infection, be it hepatitis, HIV, you can name them. You will have to take care of yourself.
Okay.
And don't forget, you have families at home to take care of. So if the very things are not there, why should you go and risk your life? Because in the line of duty, if I should go there today and a patient should harm me to death, I'm gone for good, and I will never come back.
But they are risking every work. Maybe perhaps that's a risk in your work.
And that is why there are risk allowances and insurance policies and what have you. In our case, none.
Zero.
No risk allowance, no form of insurance policy.
When I was told by my producer that I'll be doing this very interview, I started reading bits and pieces about best practices elsewhere.
Sure.
What usually, in your knowledge, or by your knowledge, do you know exists elsewhere, especially in the more developed countries?
Even the medications we are using now, we are using the first generation. Whilst they are using the fourth, I mean, well improved. There are other machines that they use in investigating your blood levels, your white blood cells, and I mean, day in, day out, they do reviews, not just the psycho reviews, but thorough investigation.
So you're saying they work under better conditions?
Sure.
They have better facilities?
Sure.
And what about, are they incentivized?
Some of them, even when a patient, with all the provision of all the equipment they need, should a patient attack any of them, the institution gives them compensation as well as the state. But in our case, it's a different ball game. In the line of duty getting hurt, you would still now have to come and take care of yourself. Whilst elsewhere, it's rosy. Even the working environment is a different thing altogether. In our case, disinfectants, detergents to even clean the wards, they are not there. And that is a form of what? Cross-infection. Because you go there, you go and work. Then at the end of the day, you have to go home, go take care of your family. Sometimes some of the patients cannot bath themselves, you have to assist them. So if you are to bath, say, 3, 4, 5 patients, what do? You do that with your bare hands. And you can't say you won't. Because some of them cannot do it themselves, you have to do it for them. With some of them, you have to assist, provide them with the soap and water and all that, then they do themselves. But the others, you have to. And in such instances, what do? You can't just let them go. You have to surely do something for them. And the very things that you need to do are not there. Even gloves are not available. And we use gloves in doing so many things. So if they are not there, what do? You go and take the infections and go and give to your family. And when they are sick, you take care of them, you take care of yourself. It shouldn't be so.
So we would want to open the phone lines for about 5 minutes, take some couple of calls, and the numbers will be on your screens very soon. And 03. Okay, so very soon we'll get the numbers on your screens. But before we do that, if you know the numbers too, you can call in and we'll see whether Fred can answer some of your questions. Now, particularly about do you sympathize with the position of the nurses who work at the various wards, and what also are your experiences? Perhaps you've had a patient, you send there, the experiences you would want to share with us, we'll be very much happy. But how long are you going to be advocating for this, for improved service conditions, and if they don't come, will you go on strike?
For strike, we've not gotten there. Maybe when they need be, we would. But as it is, we will continue to stay away.
As it is now, you stay away.
What
does it mean when you say you stay away? Is it not a strike action?
Nope.
Then what is it?
We are staying away from the danger zone. Because the very things to work with.
Are you military officers? You are staying away from danger zone. No, but it means you will not be going to work.
Sure.
So you are staying away from danger zone, and the danger zone is the work.
Is the workplace.
Which is dangerous.
Sure.
Okay, but it means you are not going to work. So you're absenting yourself from work illegally.
When you say I am absenting myself,
well, that is what it is, Mr. Fred Asari-Donkor.
When you say I am absenting myself from work, it means that the very things I have to work with, are there and I have refused to go to work.
Well, that's what it's going to be.
But in this case...
Have you started that very action?
From today.
Oh,
yes.
from today?
Yes, we are not
so
going.
You were supposed to have been on duty today?
Sure.
Which hospital?
Accra Psychiatric Hospital.
And you won't go?
I am not going because when I get in there, one, the very things to
Do you
work...
expect to be paid?
Roland, let's assume you have employed me and you've not given me the things to work with. How would you expect me to work?
Well, the good thing is I haven't employed you. I would have deducted your...
Whilst you have failed to provide me with the very things I need to work with, and for that matter, you've made the work environment dangerous for our lives, you would decide not to pay me.
Okay, Fred, we have a caller on the line. We have Kwame. You are calling us from Teshimai. Kwame, please tell us your experiences, if you have any, particularly about the psychiatric hospitals and whether you sympathize with Fred and his nurses group. They call them the Psychiatric Nurses Group.
Good morning, Roland.
Good morning, Kwame.
Yeah. Roland, my greetings to all listeners of Joy, whatever. But I sympathize with them very well. In fact, you see, when you look at how they work at the psychiatric there, in fact, their work is very tedious one. And I think the government should go in and help them out of this. Can you imagine? I was reading one of the papers and I saw one time one of the, excuse me to say, mad people attacked one of the nurses, which was very, very, very bad. And if these people are working for Ghana and they are not receiving good salary, their conditions not going on well, can you imagine what kind of country are we living now? In fact, Roland, we are pleading with the government immediately. You should go and tackle their issue for them and they can return to work.
Well, thank you very much, Kwame. And Fred, we've captioned this strike action. Is it a strike action you're going?
No.
What is it?
Moving away from the danger zone.
Okay, so please let's moving away. Nurse is moving away from the danger zone.
Sure.
But it's a strike action.
Nope.
It's a strike action. We'll put it back. It's the same thing, strike action.
Maybe that's how you choose to call it.
No, but it's a strike action, Fred. Let's be realistic. And so please again make sure that if you are watching us, you can call 03022116991 or 2, and let's hear from you. But what will make you go back to your wards?
When we get the very things we need to work with, i.e. the medication, the gloves, the disinfectants, and improvement in the quality and the quantity of food. Sometimes we'll be serving the patient food. Then let's assume you have a ward of about, say, 40 patients. Then the quantity of food that came in is not sufficient. And looking at the number, you need to serve so that everybody can get something to eat. Now you serve this TikTok person, then the person tells you the quantity you've given me is not sufficient.
Who is the patient?
Who is the patient? So add more. Now if you refuse to add the very small quantity you've given to the person, which is hot, the person throws it on you. Sometimes they will. Yes. And these are the situations you're talking about.
Sulemana, you're calling us from somewhere in the eastern region. Where exactly, please?
Yeah, Bomso.
Oh, Bomso. Okay. Yeah. How is Bomso? Hello, Sulemana. Well, we seem to have lost Sulemana on the line.
Yeah.
Hello, Sulemana.
Hello, Roland.
Hello, Sulemana.
Hello, Roland.
Yes, please go ahead, Sulemana.
Yes, please. I share with the sentiments of my colleagues at your studio. Because with the psychiatric nurses, I am a committee of nurse myself. And in fact, I put all this blame on the JRNMA. They are not doing anything for us nurses. As you were saying, look at the condition at the ward. You go there, get wounded by these aggressive patients, and yes, so we go home and take care of your own self. Committee of nurses, we go for home visiting, being bitten by dogs, and you go there and you don't even have this anti-rabies. What are we doing? What is the JRNMA doing? That's in our situation. That's the mother situation. What are they doing for us nurses? In fact, I want to call on Asante Krobia to come in. We cannot be doing this job for nothing.
Who is Asante Krobia?
He is the president for JRNMA.
All right. Point made.
Yes.
Okay, your point has been made. Your mother association, how do you call them?
Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association.
Do they know about this?
Yep.
What
I think they had a press conference Somewhere Thursday or Friday. I think Thursday.
On this very...
On series of issues, and I think this was
the nursing profession.
part of it.
Okay. So now you're on a strike action.
So I was telling you about the
zone.
patient food issue. Now, a colleague received a slap just because of food.
As for that, as for those incidents, I've heard it several.
She thought the roofing has broken on her. She screamed. I was like, "What? A tick, Roland." And I was telling you, our condition of service is when a nurse finds himself in any situation at the workplace, which he has reasonable cause to believe presents an imminent and serious danger to his life, safety, and health, the nurse shall immediately report this fact to his immediate supervisor and remove himself from the situation.
So that's what you're doing?
With the Labour Act.
Is that the Labour Act?
Yep, it's there.
Okay.
And from our condition of service,
why don't you put together a class action? Well, we have from Brekuma a caller. Please, what's your name, please?
I'm Isaac.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, please, Isaac. Please go ahead.
I'm Isaac, calling from Brekuma.
Please go ahead, Isaac.
Okay. I'm also a general nurse.
You are a general nurse?
General nurse.
Okay.
Registered general nurse.
Please go ahead.
My colleague, who is a psychiatric nurse in this condition. And in fact, I'm very sorry because what is happening in this country as of now, a nurse coming to a television station to ask for a tap, a common safety material to protect yourself from common infections, to come to a television station and plead for a grab. But this is very serious. And I want to ask, where are we heading towards to as a nation? These politicians will go to the developed countries for healthcare. And do you think even...
Well, I seem to have lost the caller who was calling from. Well, it seems that yours is worse. The general nurses, theirs is a little better
than ours.
But generally, it's still not very good.
And in our case, even when you are home with just one patient who is sick, look at the frustration that the whole family goes through. And then you bring the person in. Most of the time, when they are bringing them in, they come in handcuffs, sometimes tied with police escort and whatever.
Because they may have been aggressive.
Sure. Now, when they bring them in, the very things to take care of them are not there. The very things, the medications to give to these same patients who have now been taken off their handcuffs or their ropes are not there. So what do you expect? Or should these same patients relapse and go back into their state? And you have about 10, 15 of them. Let's take a ward like special ward that has about 150 patients. Then out of this 150, about 50 of them decide to just relapse and then get aggressive.
We have Eric from Asasawa. Eric.
Good morning.
Morning. Do you have any experiences to share?
Yeah, I was once at a psychiatric hospital and I saw how one nurse was brutalized. You know, it is very
brutalized by soldiers or?
No, by one of the
patients.
Yeah. Okay. It was very, very pathetic. And I want to chip in to you, Roland. Do you know that the police? Do you know that the government has instructed the Director General of Education that teachers shouldn't grant interview to you, the media people, else we'll be sacked from our workplaces. So please do investigation on that for us. That is why if your people go to the villages, teachers don't want to grant the interview. That is the reason why. So I'm calling to tell you this. Thank you.
That directive has always been there, though, for years, for decades, really. The politicians are always afraid that something will be exposed. But we do get your point there. We'll try and follow up on that. We have Gordon. Gordon, why are you calling us from?
Hello?
Gordon, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from the Upper East region.
It's a vast region. Where exactly in the Upper East region?
Garu Timpani in the Upper East region.
Oh, Garu. Okay.
Yeah.
Please, your comment. You want to associate with the nursing group?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm a psychiatric nurse myself.
You are one yourself? You are one yourself?
I'm one myself. If you ask my senior sitting in the studio there, he knows me very well. Akazi Godwin Asabire is my name.
Okay. Please share your experiences with us.
Yeah. In dealing with psychiatric patients, it's very, 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 very difficult. Sometimes people and the outside domain may look at it and then they realize that, oh, psychiatric is not all that maybe important or something. Policymakers do not take psychiatry maybe very serious, because we are made to understand that mental health is total health. If you don't have mental health, it means that your total health is in question. So why would the psychiatric nurses be ready to work and for government to provide the logistics for them to work? It's a problem. Was it not until recently that we heard the government has allocated some money for the psychiatric hospitals scattered across the country? So if that money has come, why is it that right now we don't even have even simple logistics? Even just that we need to manage the patients are not even there. Those that are scattered across the country, as I'm talking to you now, my place right now, we don't even have the essential drugs to manage the patient. You go to work, the patient will come, you have no drugs to attend to them.
And you are a community psychiatric nurse?
Yes.
Have you reported this to your head of the facility?
I have reported last week. I reported it to my director. I told him that we go to work, the patient will come. It's not like the patients are not there. They are there. We go to the communities, we do case tracing, then we find these cases, they will come, and then where are the drugs to manage the patients? The drugs are not there.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for those comments. It seems it's a widespread issue, not only domiciled in the main hospitals. Is it the same thing we may find in Pantai and Ankafol, etc.?
They may have their difficulties,
their peculiar problems.
In our case, Pantai has a general OPD and I think a morgue, so it cushions them a bit. Ankafol has the same.
But you are a pure psychiatric facility.
Straight. And in our place, we have Adabaka Polyclinic just opposite us. Rage is just next by. 37 is just here. So with general cases, hardly would they come unless inpatient general cases. So for our end, and most of them, when you go to all these places and they are fed up and then they end up at our place. So it makes it a bit difficult for us working there. It makes it very, very difficult. And the nation as a whole has neglected mental health for far too long.
You think that the way
it's a contributing factor.
You think the way we built Ridge Hospital, we should have built a big facility like that?
Not necessarily building a big facility, but provide us with the very things we need.
For the care.
Psychiatric Hospital was built, I think, in 1904, was commissioned in 1906. I think 112 years down the line. It has not seen any major renovation. Yet, since the 06 that was inaugurated and they are occupying patients to date, there are human beings in there. Human beings with rights, they are in there. Not a major renovation. So we are not asking for anything extraordinary. Even the very basic things to work with are not there. And okay. Most of us don't.
So when will you go back? Fred, it's okay.
When going back? When we go today, if the very things we need to work with get in today.
But you are not at the hospital, so how would you know where?
We will surely go there to go and monitor the situation. When the very things we need to work with are in, thank God, we will gladly work, because those patients in there, it's through no fault of theirs they are there.
Well, thank you very much.
And as it is, they are also in dangerous situations themselves, a threat to themselves and other patients. Okay. So if your relative is there and then tomorrow you go and say, oh, because the medications wasn't there, he got aggressive and then either killed somebody or has killed himself, how would you feel? And that is what we are trying to prevent.
Good question there, Fred. And Fred Asaridonko is an executive member of the Psychiatric Nurses Group. They are advocating for improved working conditions, particularly within the dangers that lie in their daily administrative setup, as well as their working conditions at their Accra Psychiatric Hospital, and indeed other major psychiatric hospitals and community hospitals scattered across the country. We hope that their action, which seems more like a strike action, but he says that is moving away from the danger zone, will see an improvement in the next few days as the Ministry of Health tend to listen to their plight. Well, that's where we take our focus off this very subject.